Told you. We're gonna hang out. Gonna watch a movie. Gonna take some pictures. And then I'll pay you.
Where do you go to get away when you're stressed and things are hard and you just need to disconnect for a minute? Do you even have somewhere? When I was a kid, I didn't really have anywhere to get away. Growing up in the backwoods, I could talk to the trees, but it felt a lot like talking to you now. They really didn't talk back too much, and if they started to, I knew it was time to get out of there. When things were bad in my childhood home, I would retreat into a video game. Fantastic worlds and stories where I could be the hero were nice, but then everything changed when I was a teenager and I could get on the internet. Now, obviously, the internet is a terrible place for a kid to be these days, but this was the turn of the millennium and I was on dial-up, so how much trouble could I really get into? The MMO chat box, the pregame lobby, eventually the Skype or the Discord call. These were the places where a few unlucky people knew my name, where I could be myself for better or worse. My getaway is still video games, but it's a different kind of game. When I look at MMOs and first-person shooters now, I don't really see anywhere that I belong, so I avoid the modern lobbies of verbal warfare in Call of Duty and the raging mobs of MOBAs. I'm too old and bitter for the noise, and my genuine desire to form new friendships is tempered by the certainty that everyone I don't already know is actually a terrible person. That's not a fair assumption, it's a personal failing, and I'm really not working on it. I know I'm rambling a bit here, but this is second monitor media anyway, right? We're just hanging out. Have you heard about third places? What? You gotta turn on your microphone. Check your mute button. Alright, whatever, I'll just keep talking. Wikipedia says that in sociology, a third place is a social space separate from the two main places. Those are the home and the workplace. Examples include churches, cafes, clubs, community centers, libraries, parks, and theaters. It's kind of a home away from home where you know people and you can hang out, you can make new friends and just get away for a minute. It's like a part of you. It's somewhere you belong. But if you're like me, just talking about the concept feels wrong. It's like something out of a movie or that only happens to rich people. At this point, I can't even conceive of a third space. Where would I find the time or the money or the people? I fucking hate people.
People? What a bunch of bastards.
Besides, what would my kids be doing? I wouldn't want to go without my wife, and I'm not just going to leave them at home. I can't take my eyes off them in public. That's when tragedy strikes. Like many people in our modern society, I don't even have a second place. I roll out of bed into my computer chair, I put in my hours, and then I roll to my living room. I don't go to bars. I learned a long time ago that I don't really like the taste of being the only one sober. I can't stand the noise at a club or a concert, and I don't really like to be in a crowd anyway. I haven't been to church since the incident. I'd rather just stay at home. When it is time to get away, I like to visit strange and distant lands where I still wonder what I'll see next, where I can meet new people, hear a new story, and see a new sky. Recently, one of those places has been the island of Eastshade. In Eastshade, you play as a painter. You've traveled to the island on the request of your mother, who, on her deathbed, asked you to go to paint 4 of her favorite memories. She won't get to see them, of course. She is dead. But I guess she wanted to share with you something that brought her so much joy. In typical video game fashion, it won't be as easy as just walking to the place and doing the thing. You'll wander around forests and cities using your 2 legs and sometimes a paintbrush to help citizens with whatever odd jobs they might have. The mechanics of the game, if you could call them that, are simple, and for those who struggle with other walking simulators, I imagine they would be the most difficult part of the game to enjoy. Painting is just pointing and clicking. It's a lot more like taking a photo. Survival and crafting, as well as what you could think of as the economy, that's the trading of money for goods and services, are so bare bones that I wonder if they're really just there because that's what games do. Survival is just, don't go outside at night. It's chilly and you'll die. But no one else on the island seems to have that problem, and once you make it to the main city, you can just buy a coat, and then you never have to sleep again. You don't need to eat or drink, and I don't remember seeing a toilet anywhere. Crafting is the process of clicking on everything you see with a white icon above it and wondering if it will ever be useful.
Ooh, piece of candy. Ooh, piece of candy. Ooh, piece of candy.
It has the faint smell of a Metroidvania. You craft a few key items to open up exploration to more of the island, but for the most part you'll just be making canvases. It always throws off my immersion a bit when I walk into a stranger's home and start stealing their candles and bed sheets. In Eastshade, they won't even say anything to you while you do it. It's odd having to pick up piles of weeds and sticks as I walk around like I'm raking the forest floor to make tea. At the same time, I seem to have a magical palette with endless paint and brushes that never need washing, so why do I need to make canvases? Again, is it just what games do? A mechanic for mechanics' sake? I do admit, though, that it would be interesting to have to manage the disposal of turpentine in the island's waterways. The strength of the game, and the reason I keep coming back to it, are in its ability to evoke specific feelings of comfort and relaxation. Beautiful vistas and quiet moments are everywhere around you. A more whimsical person might even call it cozy, though I think that has come to mean something different in modern gaming, something two-dimensional and tedious, like a spreadsheet with a watering can. Walking around the world of Eastshade is a moment that echoes my first steps into oblivion. No, not the sewer part. You know what I mean. Why are you like this? You know I'm talking about this part. Bethesda likes to call this a step-out moment, and it's used to signal to the player that the tutorial is over and the world is yours. It's usually a serene pause before the excitement and danger of adventure. It's a low point of intensity on the engagement curve. You see the low parts of the curve? That's where your mind's supposed to be able to reset between spikes of tension and excitement. But Eastshade wants to hold you in that moment for as long as it can. It likes edging you with a feeling of freedom that its systems struggle to bring you to completion on. The scenes are warm and familiar with light ambient music and a hanging question of, oh, what's over there? It's a promise that the game makes to you in the early hours, but like young love, you know that these promises come easy and keeping them is hard. The curve never swings back up. There's no rising tension to the game at all. It's calm to the point of becoming passionless, and without any excitement, we're on an engagement line. Tinges of darkness or intrigue come up, but they're immediately smoothed over. Things have to stay happy and light. It's saccharine, and it feels fake. Obviously, it's a video game. It is fake. But I'm talking about verisimilitude here. It's one of my favorite words and concepts, but I won't go into it right now. This video already kind of feels like edutainment. Early in the game, I'm asked to tattle to the police. A nosy neighbor doesn't like a man and wants to accuse him of being an abusive father. She doesn't have any proof. I don't like that at all. So I thought, I'll go warn the dad. But if you try to talk to him about it, he'll knock your lights out. When you wake up, the sheriff tells you to stay out of it. They've got an eye on him. So I reload. Fuck that guy, I thought. I guess I'll see what happens the other way. So I go and I tell the sheriff, and he says, that's not something we normally worry about. And that's it. A farmer thinks mice are eating his crops, but it's actually a local couple who have fallen on hard times. You tell him about it, but he just doesn't believe you, and then he gives you the reward for completing his quest anyway. At this point, I've accidentally peeked around the facade and found out the whole town is made of cardboard. I think this is the key to why people love games like the classic Fallouts and Baldur's Gate 3. When the game accounts for my decisions and responds to them in a way that's believable, suddenly the whole world's 3D. It's real. If there are no consequences, then I'm not role-playing. You gotta slap me around, lock me up, tell me I'm a bad boy, spit on me. Are we still talking about the game? Eastshade doesn't want to be that kind of experience, and that's fine, but for a while there it drew me in so well that I guess I thought we had more than we did, that it could have been something real. Once the first impression is over, and you look even a little bit closer, the scars of a small team are all over the game. The citizens are all part animal, and I mean only part. It's the head and the hands. Those are the parts. But the animations seem to be made for normal human skeletons. Strange textures and clipping issues come up often, like when I'm walking through the forest and randomly hit an invisible wall. I think I've gone the wrong way, but it's not actually an invisible wall, it's just a speed bump, because if I stand still for a second and then start walking again, suddenly I'm free to keep going. Or sometimes it's the opposite problem. When I'm rafting around the coast trying to land on an island, but instead I go right through it. The entire island has no collision, it's just set dressing. You can pick up your tent, but not remove your campfire, and that's fine. Smokey the Bear here doesn't care at all, nor does he even mention the fact that you're carrying around about 100 of the plants that are illegal to pick, even though he put up signs everywhere. The biggest thing that I wish could be different is the painting. Not the way the painting is done, because I don't really mind the snapshot system, but the way that it only matters in relation to a quest giver. Painting is only ever a good choice when you're doing it for someone else. Otherwise, you're just burning resources. Eastshade acts like it wants to be a game as an experience or some kind of art, but then it's so gamified by its crafting and quest turn-ins and the inspiration system that it's dragged down by them. And oh, the inspiration system. It's an interesting idea, and it only inspires me to want to paint less. In real life, I'm a programmer, and because it's my job, I don't need to be inspired to do it. In the game, I'm a professional painter. I don't need inspiration to paint. It can be applied to make something special, but in here, if you don't have it, you can't put your brush to canvas at all. To be clear, I don't mind the gamification of these systems. I'm here to play a game after all. But I do wish that since we started down that road, it could be taken just a step farther. That it could be changed to feed back into that concept of being a traveling painter and reinforce that idea, rather than distracting from it. Here's an example. One way to make money is fishing, and while I always enjoy a fishing minigame, I don't know if I can say that it adds much to this experience. There are only 3 types of fish. One bites every time you cast, and then you reel it in. Stop reeling when the line gets hot. You do it for one mission, and then you can sell all the other fish for piles of money. The quest that introduces fishing asks us to catch a legendary fish that stole a woman's ring. But I'm not a fisherman. I'm a painter. I could help her get the pole, I could help her get the information, but what I wish she would instead have asked me to catch is the moment. When she catches the fish herself, I could paint her a picture that immortalizes that forever. But instead, I catch 3 fish, I get 10 rupees, and I walk away. We could look at the photography system from Dead Rising. In that game, when you take a picture, you get a score. It's called prestige points, or PP for short. Better pictures get you more PP, and a bigger PP is always better. A similar system could be applied to Eastshade with value based on the context of the painting. The game already has a list of commissions that the characters want you to paint for them. Just expand on that a little more. Let me get the commissions from the characters or by overhearing a conversation and then figure out how to fulfill it on my own and turn it into the person directly instead of this art dealer. It would bring me back to the role of playing as a traveling artist and reward timing and composition and a willingness to immerse myself in this world that I'm walking through. In Eastshade, when I see something beautiful or interesting, I want to paint it, but why would I? I could just hit F12 and take a screenshot, and then I wouldn't have to make another fucking canvas. It probably seems strange that most of this video has been me complaining about Eastshade, but it frustrates me because the game is so good, and it's so close to being great. I don't expect anything to change though. The game's already out. Back in 2021, someone posted about a bug concerning an owl that makes a quest impossible to complete. The developers actually responded to that, but the bug's still there. I know because the exact same thing happened to me. Still, it's worth talking about the things the game could do differently, in case someone else out there is making the next great paint 'em up. I hope someone is, because Eastshade is still the kind of place that I like to be. Don't get me wrong, I love my Dark Souls, my Final Fantasies, and even my Blood Omens. I did a video on that one already. I don't want every game to be like this one, but it's a nice change once in a while. Thankfully, it seems like the game was a major success. I really believe it deserves it, but it does take effort not to notice the indie bits poking through. It doesn't matter. I'm not here for the polish. I'm just another tourist, and I enjoyed my time here. Maybe you're like me, and you don't find joy in the bustle of the crowd. Maybe you just want a little quiet. If so, the next time you're looking for a place to get away from it all, consider Eastshade. It's a wonderful place to visit, even if I wouldn't really want to live there. Hey, thanks for watching my video, or listening to it, I guess. I got more cooking, so if you want to see those, then I guess subscribe? You know how YouTube works. Alright, later.
I'm a bird!
Oh, tell her it's a bird.